The one above all. They call him the god above gods. The truth is worse. He isn't a being at all. He's the reason beings happen. The one above all doesn't rule the multiverse. He paints it, breath by breath. Every photon, every heartbeat, every moment of joy or cruelty is ink from his hand. When heroes pray for strength and devils whisper rebellion, they're both speaking inside him. The living tribunal, eternity, infinity, they aren't his servants. They're his organs, performing the universe like a symphony that doesn't dare stop. No one meets him, no one can. Because to look upon him is to understand that you were never separate. You were the brushstroke, mistaking yourself for the artist. Some say he is love, others say he is curiosity. Maybe he's both, the quiet hand that keeps the page from going blank. He could end everything with a breath, erase it all into white silence. But he doesn't, because even omnipotence likes to see what happens next. The scariest god isn't the one who punishes, it's the one who's still watching, just to see if you'll surprise him. The presence. Every god in DC is a metaphor. The presence is the thing metaphors are trying to remember. He isn't a throne in the sky, he's the light thrones reflect. When the specter burns a city with righteous fire, that's his wrath wearing a face. When Dream keeps the rules of stories, that's his order humming under the floorboards. Even Lucifer's rebellion, sharp, brilliant, necessary, moves inside the permission he gave to free will. He doesn't arrive with trumpets. He shows up as a quiet man in a diner, smiling like he knows your worst moment and isn't leaving. He writes the law, then breaks it to save a single soul. Angels call that mercy. Demons call it cheating. The presence just calls it love. Dangerous, asymmetrical, impossible to deserve. Scholars argue whether he's truly supreme or if even he sits on a page someone else drew. Maybe that's why he stays gentle. Humility is hard to stab. But make no mistake, if he withdrew his attention, heaven would become paperwork. Hell would forget why it hurts, and reality would go pale at the edges. He doesn't hold the universe with force. He holds it with meaning. And if meaning ever lets go, who keeps believing in us? Azathoth. At the heart of all creation, something stirs. Not a god, not even a mind, just hunger pretending to sleep. Azathoth is chaos before the word existed. A blind nuclear drum beating at the center of everything. Around him, idiot flutists swirl in endless orbit, piping the rhythm that keeps reality from collapsing. Every atom dances to that tune. Every sun burns in time with it. We call it energy. We call it motion. But it's really just one thing. The dream of something too powerful to wake. Scholars say if the music ever falters, creation will fold back into nothing. Not fire, not ruin, just silence, the kind that never ends. Cultists worship him, thinking devotion means safety. But storms don't love sailors. They just don't notice them. Sometimes the rhythm changes. Instruments skip a beat, a flicker in the background of physics. A tremor in time. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's breath. If Azathoth ever opens his eyes, there won't be a scream. Only the realization that the scream was his dream, ending mid-note. Yog Sothoth. If Azathoth is the dream, Yog Sothoth is the door it leaks through. It's not in time. Time is in it. Past, present, and future. Fold like glass in its hands, one moment staring at every other. They call it the gate and the key because there's no distance left between knowing and becoming. Those who summon it don't meet a god. They meet understanding so complete it erases the person doing the understanding. A wizard opens the circle, chants the forbidden name, and suddenly sees every version of themselves. Living, dying, never born, already forgotten. The human brain mistakes that for enlightenment. It isn't. It's decomposition by knowledge. Under Yog Sothoth's gaze, morality turns to geometry. Love becomes arithmetic. You can still feel, but only as data, coordinates on an infinite grid. You don't lose your soul. You map it, and if you listen close enough, the gate will whisper one truth before it closes. Every question opens something. Some questions open you. Kami Tenchi. He doesn't sit on a throne. He goes to high school. That's the trick. That's the joke. The being who could erase infinity with a sigh doesn't rule the cosmos. He lives inside it, pretending to be small. Kami Tenchi isn't powerful in the way we understand it. Power implies effort. He has none. Reality rearranges itself out of respect, laws of physics stepping aside like nervous servants. The moment he awakens to what he is, the multiverse flinches. Galaxies pause mid-spin. Cause and effect glance at each other, unsure who should move first. There are no enemies, only actors reciting lines he hasn't decided to delete yet. Villains rise, heroes fall, and all of it happens inside the smallest fraction of his thought. Some call him omnipotent. Others say omnipotence is too narrow. He's the reason power exists to begin with. He never shouts. He never fights. He simply understands himself, and the universe updates to agree. If he ever truly opened his eyes, he wouldn't destroy creation. He'd remember he already imagined something better, and move on, leaving this one to fade like an old dream that finally realizes it's over. Eru Ilúvatar. Before there were mountains or moons, there was a note, then another, then harmony answering harmony until the dark had to listen. Eru Ilúvatar doesn't forge with hammers. He composes. The Ainur take up his theme, radiant minds singing continents into shape, oceans into patience. Even Melkor's discord, brilliant, bitter, loud, gets braided into the music and turned to meaning. That's Ilúvatar's terrifying gentleness. He doesn't crush rebellion. He conducts it. Free will is allowed to cut, and somehow the wound becomes part of the pattern. He intervenes rarely. A word and worlds tilt. A breath and a people rise. More often, he waits, calm as a shoreline, knowing the tide returns whether pride likes it or not. To lesser gods, he gives stewardship. To mortals, he gives the dangerous gift of choice. The song continues, and every heart decides which line to follow. Think power is domination? Here, power is inevitability. A melody so complete that even dissonance kneels to resolve. Villains call that fate. Heroes call it hope. Eru calls it the end he already heard. And if the music ever stops, it won't be because evil won. It'll be because the final chord arrived, and the world finally learned why it was always heading there. The Overvoid, climb past angels, past the presence, past heaven itself. Keep going until stories run out of breath. There, where panels end and gutters become oceans, you reach the Overvoid, the primal monitor. A whiteness so absolute it doesn't need meaning. DC is a fingerprint on its surface. Worlds, crises, reboots. Ink that can be wiped with one patient breath. Inside that white, sometimes, a hand moves. The writer. Not a character, not a god pretending. The condition that lets gods be drawn at all. Animal Man met his author once. It wasn't a cameo. It was a diagnosis. You're real because I'm choosing you. Terrifying grace. Every victory was a sentence someone allowed to continue. Every tragedy, a comma. The presence may be God, but this is the page where God's name is written, and where it can be erased. People ask what's stronger, faith or the hand that letters faith. The Overvoid doesn't answer. It doesn't need to. Blankness is already a statement. I can be without you. If the hand lifts, the universe doesn't explode. It stops needing to be. Silence becomes the loudest thing you've ever heard. Pray, fight, hope, do it all. Just remember, somewhere beyond your prayer is a wrist deciding whether the next line exists. The God Emperor of mankind. He is not a god because he wants worship. He is a god because there's no other word for someone who keeps a species alive with his own decay. The Golden Throne isn't a seat, it's a coffin that hums. 1,000,000 souls a day vanish into its hunger, and in return the Astronomicon burns. A lighthouse carved from agony so ships can cross a galaxy that wants them dead. Once, he strode like a conqueror philosopher, bending tyrants and timelines. Now he rules as a whisper through saints and soldiers. A will nailed to machinery, while the warp scratches at the shutters. Angels of decay call it justice. Heretics call it hypocrisy. His faithful call it love that learned to endure. He can end worlds with a thought. He does not. He spends himself instead, minute by burning minute, because endurance, not victory, is the only bridge left. That's the horror and the holiness. Salvation as logistics. If he rises, chaos trembles. If he fails, mankind becomes a rumor the stars once heard. So the throne groans, the candle shakes, and the galaxy leans closer, wondering if the next flicker is extinction or sunrise. The God Hand. 5 figures in perfect shadow, a smile like a cut, a voice that sounds like the truth finally giving up. The God Hand do not make reality. They curate suffering, editing causality until tragedy feels inevitable. A Beherit weeps, the sky turns meat red, and an eclipse opens, where wishes are granted at the exact price your soul was too afraid to calculate. Void speaks like a verdict. Slan caresses ruin. Ubik sells meaning that melts in your palm. Conrad breeds plagues out of disgust that learn to walk. And the newest finger, bright as betrayal, wears a hawk's dream like armor. They don't push you, they let the worst version of you step forward and call it destiny. Elegant, inevitable, signed in your own handwriting. Miracles still happen. Swords still sing. People choose love in places love should not survive. The hand smiles at that too, because hope makes better tragedies. Ask if there's a way out. There is, but it looks like a man carrying a coffin-sized sword uphill through a storm that hates his name. If gods are rigged stories, then defiance is the edit. Turn the page, bleed on it. The monad. Before God had syllables, there was fullness. Not light, not dark, capacity. The monad is that original completeness, the source that overflowed into steps, aeons, orders, smaller brightnesses trying to remember the song they came from. Call it the pleroma. Call it the first thought. Everything downstream is an echo learning to hear itself. In some tellings, the monad divides, not to weaken, but to know. It makes mirrors that make more mirrors, until one of them asks the right question and becomes a world. We meet its reflections as creator gods, chaos engines, author hands, each a translation error with worshippers. The trick is simple and devastating. Every prayer climbs through copies. Every miracle is a memory mispronounced. Power here isn't lightning, it's identity. To touch the monad is to realize the canvas and the paint are the same substance, and the eye looking is made of both. Enlightenment doesn't shout, it deletes the need to. So you seek the highest God. You pass thrones, clouds, infinities. At the end, there's no door, only noticing. And when you finally notice the one who's noticing, the answer notices back.